So good afternoon, everybody. I've got Liam Wainwright here from Utility Base. And Liam, I would love for you to just get started with your beginnings of the business and what really inspired you to get this going.
Yes, so Utility Base was formed 1st of February 2018. So we're a commercial energy brokerage. How the business come about was when I was 18, I worked for an energy brokerage in Liverpool city centre. I worked there for around 12 months. That was pretty much my first proper job. I'd done a few jobs before then, but it felt like a normal working environment, 9 to 5. And looking back, it was a crazy experience, if I'm honest. Because when I was younger, I pursued a career in football, so to transition from ultimately doing something that you love every day and training for maybe like 3 hours to boom in a working environment, it was a bit of a reality check for me. But it took a lot of those skills into that role. What I'd probably learned from football, that competitive nature. It was a sales role, hitting targets, whether that be daily, monthly, or yearly targets, whatever it may be. I got to know the industry, the energy industry, learn all different parts of it, whether it's suppliers, the generation of energy, etc. And then after a few months, it probably took me a little bit longer than I'd like to get off the ground running. But when I did, I probably had that realization, maybe there's a potential career in this. After 12 months, I did a little bit of traveling, come back to the UK, and that particular company I worked for, they didn't really show any signs of progressing, so I didn't go back to my previous role. Got offered basically the same role for a new company that moved into the city centre. And then after around 6 months of working there, I just had this desire to potentially have a go at doing it myself. And the reasons behind that was just analysing the workplace and seeing the culture of certain environments. I mean, there was a lot of pros, but I think the cons stuck out like a sore thumb. And there was a bit of a smash and grab approach. Throw as much as you can at the wall and see what sticks. But ultimately, as you've probably seen in the media now with the energy crisis, customers need to be advised correctly, and you can do the job by just being open and transparent. Whereas the industry's come under a lot of scrutiny of energy brokerages, basically a lot of bad practice has gone around, which is force customers to have a lack of trust when they go through this process of tendering the market. So myself and a few individuals, we decided to set up Utility Base and keep the business small, because what we found is once a company started to get quick exponential growth fast, it become too unmanageable, and then that basically reflected on the work given to customers, because if you're managing multiple sites, a lot of it needs time, effort and care. So we decided to take the good of what we'd learned working elsewhere and just not entertain any of the negatives, and just create a culture where we are what we say we are on the tin, and we're black and white, and that's helped us form really good relationships and not only grow, but the last 2 years with the pandemic, it's mainly been about staying afloat. And but yeah, it's been a crazy journey over the last 4.5 years.
Yeah, I mean, I bet it sounds like it's coming from a good place though, and definitely in terms of everything that's going on within energy right now. And like you said, there's a lot of attention on you guys right now, and being honest and transparent is definitely the best way forward. I love that you touched on the pandemic a little bit, and I'd kind of like to explore that a bit more. In terms of, obviously you started 1st Feb 2018, like obviously you only had what 2-ish years before everything started kind of going a bit mad. Throughout the pandemic, were there any like key learnings or experiences or changes that you made within the business that you kind of kept?
I mean, the pandemic, from a personal point of view, there was a lot of blessings because, as you can imagine, those first 2 years I probably didn't realise, but a lot of me time and energy was focused on, the first part of the business is making sure it's successful to a degree, and then that probably very fortunate if I look back. So having that 2 years to get to a level where we've reached the target we wanted to hit. We're an established business now. We're known in the industry, etc. But then when the pandemic hit, it obviously it showed how quickly life can change, and you've got to adapt to it. Which I didn't realise this at the time, but our company motto was a quote taken from Charles Darwin, which is, "It's not the strongest of species that survives, nor the most intelligent, it's the one most adaptable to change." So we took that, we decided to have that motto because at the time, it was more, even though like you could look at it from like a philosophical point of view and apply that to all areas of your life, but the reality is in our industry, it's all about customers looking to change suppliers and just change how they operate to, cut costs or whatever it may be. And over time, it sort of hit home. I'm going to admit, with this pandemic, like, we can't have a company motto like that and not, try and stick to it. So, the pandemic put into everyone a lot of fear into us, how we're going to adapt. It showed how vulnerable a lot of industries that we work with are. They operate on, fine margins. So it could have went 2 days. We could have buried our head in the sand. And, naturally, some days you do. You can become a little bit deflated when a lot of things are out of your hands. We could sit here all day and scrutinise government policies, how they've handled things. But then you quickly realise that it's not doing me any favours. So what are ways we can add more value to a customer if they're fearful that their business is going to struggle even more? So where can we add value, or at least be someone to speak to at the other end of the phone? And now the crisis we're in, I can honestly say it's the first time I've ever had conversations with customers where I'm in a position where I'm answering questions I literally don't know at this point, and that's another a huge hurdle that we're going to have to overcome, but we're ready for the challenge. So
I mean, brilliant. I think that quote from Charles Darwin really perfectly sums it up, not just the challenges that people experience throughout the pandemic, but whatever is about to happen. I know there's a lot of scrutiny about this coming winter, then maybe the next coming winters. People don't really know what's going on. Obviously, there's rumors flying about. But again, it's the most adaptable. And I think obviously it's going to be tough, but having that understanding that this is perhaps an opportunity. Yes, it will be hard, but to grow, to learn, to kind of explore new avenues. And it sounds like with people asking questions, it's giving you guys an opportunity to be like exploring different areas and getting some more knowledge. In terms of knowledge and your own personal knowledge and growth throughout the last 4 years, what would you say are some of the biggest learnings that you've had as a business owner?
So when Utility Base was formed, I was 22 years of age, and you only know what you know at the time. So through my life experience up until that point, this business helped me matured a lot quicker in areas in my life that I didn't realise I needed to probably address. Because I knew I could do the job well. It's all well and good ticking boxes and basically carrying out your role at a good standard. But when it went to the level of setting up your own business and a lot more responsibilities, you have to change from just having a work persona to, hang on a minute, I need to apply certain things I'm learning through mentors I've had, mirroring people. And it becomes a lot more than just doing the job. It becomes about maintaining relationships, being honest with yourself. If you work, what I found was working in certain environments at previous roles, because the culture was so it was so inconsistent at times, that when you're a small team, there's no real big margin for error, and honesty is paramount. Because if you're discussing figures and those figures aren't correct, you're going to fall short and you have to revisit that conversation in future. So when the going's good, great, celebrate it, but when you need to address things, ensure that you do address them. And you're going to have tough conversations in business, but they have to be had, and over time you don't fear having those conversations as much. You realize that we've been through this before. The reality is it's not doomsday. And yeah, how can we move forward with things?
Yeah, absolutely. Having those constructive, that environment, and like you said, creating that culture for people to have these difficult conversations is so important in any business, especially a growing one. You mentioned your mentors, and I just wanted to touch on that for a second. Has there been anybody that's particularly been inspiring to you, or motivated you particularly throughout your business journey so far?
Well, in my spare time, I like to educate myself on whatever topic it may be, and you can do that with podcasts, books, etc. But on a personal level, it's funny because I'd say in my early 20s, a lot of my reading, I've noticed the topics and things that I may be reading interested in, it has changed massively over recent years. So I've gone from early 20s to maybe self-help books or motivational things, and they eventually lost their appeal. So if I talk about my personal life, so up until the age of 22, I used to suffer really bad with a specific addiction. So if I take my working life out of the equation, and what a working life brings, your persona and all that kind of stuff. I was humbled, and I had to address the problems that were inside me. The addiction I had was just a symptom of what was going on with me that weren't being addressed. So my mentors have tended to be mentors for life, and that could be I've got a sponsor who you'd class as a mentor in recovery, who I'll speak to him on about anything, whether it could be relationships, work, personal fears, things that are consuming me in the present moment, and just talking through them. But there is one person who I listen to. He's actually died now, but his name's Ramdas, and he's very spiritual, and I think he died when he was 88 a few years ago. So listening to him and reading his book, it although you have to take business and certain parts of your life seriously, and try and have high standards, ultimately it all boils down to how I'm feeling and how I'm thinking, and are my thoughts and decisions true to myself. I'm honest. I'm trying to make decisions that is for the greater whole, not just me, my own self-interest. Because it's so, especially as an energy broker, I come from cultures where it was all about me. What can I sell? Disregard the customer. So it's trying to bring all these things that you learn together to go, right, I'm gonna try and do it this way, which there was a lot of fear behind that, because I think, would this even work? Am I trying to combine different worlds for a sales role that is ultimately about go, I've got to sell myself to you, the customer, until over time you go, do you know what, people can pick up on these things, whether you're being a little bit suspect, or you're imposing your ways on them too much, or you're chasing a customer to, I'm just going to be me, and if people like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. But
yeah, I feel like, I mean, that's an incredible philosophy to have. Simply combining those things about your personality, but also like unlikely things that seem on the surface to not really have any connection. Because I think when you observe sales roles and maybe a business owner, it's very much like you said, go, like high speed, high pace, just kind of cutthroat killer instinct to be successful. This is kind of what is glorified now, I think, within the media and stuff like this. All of this content that we're consuming as young people, like we see these people, Wolf of Wall Street, do you know what I mean? Like absolute brutal, like insane levels of just killer instinct sales mentality, when in reality it is being authentic and genuine. That's the stuff, because people buy from people, and it's actually very inspiring. And thank you so much for sharing your story about addiction and your sponsor and everything. It definitely shows like strength and some sort of deep understanding that especially in the area that you're in, to just kind of combine those things. And would you say that has given you the best results that you've had so far?
Yeah, I think like I said, when I was 22 and I made the decision, right, I'm going to try and have a go at this, with fellow colleagues, by being in recovery and addressing things in my personal life, it becomes apparent those areas where I'm massively lacking in self-awareness on certain things. So it's all well and good coming in 9 to 5 and doing a good job, but if I'm not addressing certain things in myself, they will manifest in ways, and it could be cutting a corner in work, or you could scratch your head a few months down the line and think, why have those relationships broke down? It's because I haven't got a full picture on why I was broke down. I've only, through my own limitations, I've been looking at everything through my way of seeing the world, and I quickly realized in so many things I didn't look at the world how it could be or how it should be. So it's just becoming more open-minded. But it's helped massively.
Yeah, I mean, sounds it. And in terms of like being a young person as well, I just want to, I like to ask this question to everybody, but specifically it's interesting to ask somebody like you, because you started the business when you were so young. What advice would you give to any young entrepreneur, any person, not even a young person, but any person as well, like just trying to start out and really trying to go for their dreams, but not really sure where to start?
I'd recommend having or utilizing people that you have in your life, and understanding the relationship you have with them. And I mean, there's certain conversations I'm not going to have with maybe a family member over business, because I think it's not the right place to have, and I'll probably get information that I'll either disagree with, or so it's understanding when conversations need to be had, what conversations need to be had, and if you've sometimes it sounds cliche, but I remember watching, or I read a book called Start with the Why by Simon Sinek, and at that time it was helpful. I mean, as I said before, certain things I probably read a few years ago maybe don't interest me as much now, but I did ask myself, why am I doing this? Am I doing it because I want to just earn quick money? Am I doing it because I want validation from people? Do I want to look like a business owner rather than actually achieve something? And you do start to feel it in yourself intuitively when you might have done something for the wrong reason, or you actually get that sense of pride and accomplishment where you go, do you know what, I set a goal there and I've achieved it. It never went how I wanted it to go. So it's just intuitively knowing that I want to do this for these reasons. It might just be, more personal freedom. A lot of people just want more time for themselves so they can go and enjoy the things that they do in the personal life, whatever that may be. So that was one of my big goals, to have more time to myself to explore other interests I have. But yeah, just try and get in touch more with your intuition, and it's very difficult. I struggle with that today. So yeah, just understand why you want to do it, and also the last thing I'd say is accept that however you think it's going to go, it's not going to go that way. So be ready. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Liam. Appreciate it. So for anybody looking to kind of get in touch with you, ask any questions they have about energy, or maybe get a better quote or just something, what's the best way that people can get in touch?
So we have our website, which is www.utility-base.co.uk. So there's a very simple form there on the homepage. So it's just very simple as you want to obtain a quote. Our online form allows you to decide how much you'd like us to be involved. If you just want a standard quote, or you'd like us to do, a bit more homework, create an up-to-date profile for your meters, and ultimately come back to you and get a big picture of your business, and what avenues need exploring. So there's our website, and then our landline is 0151 329 3383. So yeah, and it would probably be myself or two of my colleagues who would attend to your needs. So like I said, we like to keep it small and intimate, and we found the benefits of that over the years. Of if I'm off away on a holiday and one of my customers need attending to, we know who they're going to be speaking to. So it's a nice, small, intimate environment where we can. I felt it's helped build relationships a lot stronger. Yeah.
Definitely, because maybe obviously that gives that sense that you care, and if everyone's like on a first name basis, it's not that huge conglomerate company where you don't know who you're going to be speaking to every single time you call up your energy provider.
Yeah.
But anyways, thank you so much for spending time with him today, Liam. It was brilliant, and I'll include all the links in the websites for everybody to get in touch with you down below. But yeah, cheers. Nice one.
No, thank you very much, Anna. Lovely to meet you.
Yeah, you too. Bye-bye.
See you. Bye-bye.